straight ahead on Life on Air.
I wish I would have learned to edit and create my own stuff a little sooner than I did. I really do.
Yahoo's Daytime and No Time host Nikki Boyer opens up about how the internet completely changed her hosting career. Plus, find out what Hollywood A-lister flat out turned her down for a date.
And he so sweetly just kind of cocked his head to the right and kind of looked at me and said, yeah, no thanks.
Life on Air starts right now. Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Life on Air. My name is Tialdo, and this is the podcast dedicated to the TV hosting industry. Of course, my job is to help you connect with the industry, learn from the experts, and help all of you to become the best hosts you can possibly be. Now, if you haven't had a chance to go to my Facebook fan page, it's facebook.com/TimTialdo fan page. I'm updating all kinds of stuff on there every day. I'll give you great blogs. I'll keep you updated on jobs that are occurring in the industry. And, of course, you can catch my podcast, Life on Air, every Monday, where I'm interviewing some of the top hosts around the country, experts from the industry. We're talking about coaches, producers, casting directors, anybody that has to do with the industry and maybe you getting better in it. I probably will have them on, so pay attention to that. Now, we've got an awesome show ahead, as I talked about, with Nikki Boyer. She is probably one of the most hilarious hosts I've ever encountered. I mean, if you have ever had a chance to see her blog, it's on whosay.com. It is one of the funniest blogs. I get a chance to see her videos once every afternoon, and it absolutely brightens my day, and I highly encourage you, if you haven't had a chance, go on Facebook, find her blog and her fan page, and fan her, because she will definitely entertain you. Now, for those of you who don't know, I've been writing a book. It's called The TV Host Crash Course, 5 Steps to Help You Become the Next Great TV Personality. And for that book, I've been doing a ton of research. And so in order to do that, I've been conducting a lot of interviews with people all across the industry. And Nikki was one of those. We're actually friends. She grew up here in St. Louis along with myself. And during that interview, I thought, you know what, this would be a great podcast. And so what I've done today is I took a portion of that interview and I just basically made it into this podcast. So we're going to join that interview in progress with Nikki, talking a little bit about her first job in television when she was auditioning for Channel 11 in St. Louis. So here we go.
So I went to the audition with my cousin, and I think I sang a silly song from Fame, What a Feeling, you know, the Irene Cara song. At the age of 14 and a half, I sang with as much feeling as I possibly could. And I did and I just met the people there, and I ended up getting a call back, and before I knew it, I was a part of Team 11, which was crazy because I didn't really realize what I was getting into, but that's oddly enough sort of what shaped my career. I mean, I had interest in theater and music and dance and acting from a very young age. Like 6th grade, I think I did a PSA about how reading is good for you. So I was always involved in it, but at this point, once I got involved in Team 11, I felt like it was really becoming a job, and I was being paid, and then that turned into me becoming the St. Louis 11 Kids Club host, and I did that for 6 years at Channel 11. So really, they kind of groomed me to be, you know, an on-air personality at a very young age, and most kids, you know, their first job is, you know, a paper route or filing, you know, things at their aunt's office or something like that. But my first job was in television. So when people say, well, how did you get into it? And how did you know this was supposed to be what you're supposed to do? And I'm like, I kind of stumbled into it, and I don't know how to do anything else. So this is it for me. I don't have any other skills. From 14 on, this is the only thing I've been doing, so I'm kind of limited. This is really all I got going for me.
Well, let's go to the middle America stuff. You're from St. Louis, and you know, when you're from the Midwest, you think, well, how do I become a host here outside of, you know, maybe doing the Kids Club or Show Me St. Louis or something? So at what point did you say, I have to move to L.A., and why did you?
I think because I had been out here one time hosting the opening of Toontown for the Disney Hour. I got out here, I saw the ocean, I saw the amount of work that was available at a very young age, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's what I want to do. Because I knew I didn't want to do news. And I knew if I stayed in St. Louis, it would be kind of a news-based show. And the news, I mean, I went to Webster University and got a degree in broadcast journalism, and I liked the idea of creating stories and being sort of a communicator, but I wasn't crazy about news. So I knew I had to do entertainment, and I thought, well, where is there a lot of entertainment? New York was really exciting, but it was more theater-based at the time, and I really wanted to do television. So I thought, well, guess I'll just pack up my car and leave. So I left after graduating college. I came out here with an agent. I had a crazy amount of footage and 6 or 7 years of stuff to choose from for a demo reel.
Sure.
And I was also hosting the Children's Miracle Network telethon, so I got experience doing live television. So it was pretty amazing. So when I decided I wanted to move to LA, I was originally going to do it with my band. It was a group of guys that I met in college, and we sang in a funk disco band. Yes, a bunch of white kids in a funk disco band. But we did it. We were called Super Funk Fantasy, and we were all planning on moving out here together. And about a month before I scheduled myself to move, I found out the guys weren't going to be able to do it. And I was devastated because I thought, how am I going to do this by myself? So I packed up my little car with as much as I could. I drove to LA, and I met a friend of my family who was living in a complex and said, you can sleep on my futon. And she and I ended up becoming great friends. I slept on her futon for a while, and then we ended up getting an apartment together. And if it wouldn't have been for Ann Crumry, who actually used to work in St. Louis and do news there, I would have been sort of lost with nowhere to stay. So all the stars were aligned, and I feel like because of all the wonderful people in my life, I had a place to hang my hat right from the beginning. So that's how I ended up out here.
Any stories of struggle that you want to share that you went through? Because we all go through it at some time in our career, and I wondered what yours were.
Oh my gosh! Right when I moved to LA, I was like, okay, what do I do now? Like, I guess I'll just wait for auditions. But I'm a worker. Like I like to work, so I started waiting tables, and I was the worst waitress on the face of the planet. I worked at a place that was very corporate. I made really good money. But we weren't really allowed to write a lot of stuff down, and I couldn't. My short-term memory is horrible, so I would literally walk up to the table, charm them, talk to them, make them my best friend, because that's my favorite part of waiting tables, was just getting to know people and connecting with people. And by the time I would leave the table, I'd be like, wait, what did they want to drink and eat? I forget. So I'd have to go back and be like, wait, what did you guys say? I continually brought out the wrong dishes. I continually forgot to do half the things I was supposed to do as a waitress, but I had a lot of regulars because everybody would come back just to be sweet and supportive, and because we had nice conversation, we would just all hang out. But I provided no sense of consistency when it came to food or beverage, which is kind of ironic considering I was in the food and beverage industry. But I waited tables at Houston's restaurant, and I was a greeter for a while. But I'm telling you, I made so many connections in the industry through my waiting tables years. And one of my favorite stories of waiting tables is Josh Duhamel.
Yeah.
You know the actor?
Absolutely.
Well, he waited tables with me right before he started to get a ton of work on soap operas and stuff. And he and I were working together. And I was so smitten with him. I had such a crush on him. And my friend Melissa said, he was so dreamy. My friend Melissa said, go ask him on a date. I dare you. And I was like, I've never done that. So I got up the nerve, and I went up to Josh Duhamel, and I said, hey, if you ever want to go out for coffee or a drink or something, let me know. And he so sweetly just kind of cocked his head to the right and just kind of looked at me and said, yeah, no thanks, but I appreciate it. And I was like, oh, daggers to the heart. So then fast forward to me on the red carpet interviewing Fergie and Josh Duhamel. I gave him a really hard time for being the first guy that I ever got the nerve to ask out, and being the first and only guy that I've ever asked out and said no. And Fergie gave him a hard time and said, are you crazy? Why didn't you say yes? And I said, see, your girlfriend even, or your wife, he was his girlfriend at the time, your girlfriend even thinks that you were mean, and we were laughing about it. So
wow, okay.
That's one of my funny stories. There were very, very tough moments for me where I was questioning, why did I leave my friends and family and my whole sense of stability? And I left a job. I left a really great paying job that, it wasn't like I was not working in the industry I wanted to be working in. So I risked a lot leaving St. Louis, and that was really difficult for me because I was so afraid that I was going to fail. or have to move back because I couldn't make enough money.
There's a lot of different niches in hosting, as you well know. I mean, there's probably, 10 or 15, but you've kind of gotten to the new niche, which is internet TV. How did you get to the Yahoo job?
What's funny is when I first started doing hosting out here, I really moved out here, to be 100% honest, to do acting. I really wanted to do film and TV. And so when I moved out here, I focused mainly on doing commercials and also getting an agent so I could do film and guest star work. And hosting work just kept finding me. And I guess just until recently, I realized, this is my niche, and this is what I'm good at. Even though, I did just a guest star in 90210, and I did one on Lie to Me, and I've been on According to Jim, and I've done the improv thing, and I've done the music out here, but hosting has always been very loyal to me. So when I first got out here, I got a job at a company called AENTV, and it was an online company, and they were doing groundbreaking internet programs. And I was doing the Billboard minutes, and I was doing Game Pro minutes, which were gaming videos. So I was doing it such a long time ago, but it was before it took off. 9-10 years ago.
Okay.
And then when the Yahoo opportunity came along, it was really just an audition. My agent said, hey, there's this online show. They're looking for a host. It's kind of talk soup, but a sweeter version of it for daytime TV, and they need a female, and they want somebody funny and kind of girl next door. So I went in just like every other audition, and I just, got through levels and levels and levels, and then ended up getting a job. And so it was really just off of an audition, but it sort of turned into something amazing because my executive producer at the time was so smart in that. He was just so smart, and he knew that online was on the uprise, and he knew that web content was about to break through, and so he created these shows that would be staples, and he created primetime and daytime in no time, and I've been there for the last 2.5 years, and it's been great. So I kind of stumbled into the online job at Yahoo, but I feel like through social media and networking and creating my own web content, I've done a little bit more with it than I originally thought I would have, just because as I'm doing this, I feel like I really am learning about the web and about how powerful it is.
Yeah. Now, you hit on a really good point there, and that's kind of, you said you kind of marketed and branded yourself a little bit. I think a lot of hosts don't realize how important that is to do, even ahead of the audition, just kind of getting yourself out there and being known a little bit.
I wouldn't have known that. I think before all of this happened, I didn't know that. And in fact, I sort of was resistant to it because I didn't like the idea of, and this is going to sound horrible, but I didn't like the idea of doing work that I wasn't getting paid for.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to create all this and do all this. I need to find jobs. I need to spend my time finding actual work that pays. But then you realize with the way that social media is now and the way that the web is the jobs go to the people that have done that. And I think I kind of learned it the hard way, because I actually feel like I'm a little bit behind the curve. If you go online, there are hosts and actors out there that have a crazy web following, and I wish I would have maybe gotten focused on that a little sooner. So that's the one thing I can encourage, is that create your own brand, create your own voice, and create your own following, because people want to hear what you have to say, really, no matter who you are. They really do.
Well, and you're a perfect example of that. Do you have any advice for aspiring hosts? You're out there kind of in the thick of it. You kind of see what's going on in LA, and I think with today's reach with social media and the internet, there are different ways to do it. So maybe what would be some of your advice you'd give to somebody?
I would say creating your own content, that would be number one. Whether it is creating video blogs or a once a week making your own show. There's so much software and iPhones and laptop cameras and editing. My boyfriend's daughter, who is 8, edits her own videos on iMovie. And I think, oh my gosh, and there's 35-year-old women and men out there that are like, it's too hard. It's like, if an 8-year-old can do it, so can you.
Yeah, exactly.
I say create content. Create your own talk show. Do it. Put it out there. Get a following. Find a way to get yourself and to get your voice heard. And if it starts with 10 people that are loyal, and you take those 10 people and you try to build off of those. And I don't think you need to be in New York or LA to do it. Obviously, if you want to take the next big step in your career after you've gathered a following, I think, going to a place where there's more being made would be smart, like Chicago. I mean, you don't have to come to New York or LA. There's Chicago. I mean, there's definitely different little hubs in the United States where you can find a place to take your career to the next level. But for people who want to do hosting, I would just say, you want to do your own show, then create your own show. I'd say invest in a camera. I'd say invest in some lights. Get a good microphone. Go out there and just shoot. Learn to edit and learn to produce, because I wish I would have learned to edit and create my own stuff a little sooner than I did. I really do. Like my friend Ross Matthews, he's one of my mentors, and he's got his own video blog. He's got like 250,000 people that follow him on a daily basis, and that's because he started doing what I'm doing right now 4 or 5 years ago.
Did he? Okay.
So, yeah, he was so smart about creating a relationship with his fans, responding personally to his fans, doing live chats with his fans. So to back up a little bit, I'd say create your own content. But in order for your content to be, I think, palatable to people, you have to know what your point of view is, and you have to know what your voice is. So if you have a specific point of view and an idea about how you view the world, that's what makes your perspective unique.
So as you can tell, Nikki is completely tied into the industry. She knows exactly what's going on. And you know what? That is probably some of the best advice I have heard in a lot of the interviews I do, is a lot of the stuff that she said. You need to be creating your own content. You need to be getting out there. If you have 10 fans, and I started out with 10 fans at one time. I think I had like 4 fans. You just got to keep doing it, because that's how you're going to get out there. I guarantee you, Ross Matthews, the guy she talked about, who has 250,000 fans out there, he started out with very few as well, and I'm sure I'm going to have him on here in the future to talk a little bit about that. But for those of you who are just starting out in this industry, or maybe you haven't even started, you're just aspiring to be a host and you're listening to this because you want to learn about the industry, get out there, start doing things. I don't care if you're recording a podcast, if you're just recording your own YouTube videos, if you have your own show, that is awesome. Just do something every day to get yourself out there, to be bettering yourself, and to show casting directors and producers that, hey, I'm active. Even if I don't have a job, I'm doing something right now. Now, as you heard me mention at the top of the podcast, I have a new book coming out. It's called The TV Host Crash Course, 5 Steps to Help You Become the Next Great TV Personality. This is all about the TV hosting industry. If you go on Amazon right now, there are just not many resources out there. Even if you go on the web, there just aren't a lot of resources. This is a very mysterious industry, and I wanted to change that. So I've written this book to help you. I mean, we're going to talk about coaching. We're going to talk about the 7 attributes of a great host. We're going to talk about how to market and brand yourself. We're going to talk about auditions and getting agents, all kinds of different things that can help you. So make sure you go to my website, timtialdo.com. Sign up. There's a free ebook that you can have right now on just how to be on camera and just how to be effective on camera. And once you get that, you'll also be able to sign up for my book, which is coming out very soon. But definitely pay attention, because you're going to want this resource in your library. So that is the podcast for today. Thanks for listening to Life on Air. I totally am appreciative of all of you who take a listen to this and who have come to my Facebook fan page and who have been following me. That means the world to me. And remember, the only way to predict your future is to create it. Now go out and do it.